But Jesse, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself a little bit before we get on another tangent.
Absolutely. I'm Jesse from Bad Plans. That is my band, and yeah, I'm stoked to be here, man. Also, I just noticed that you are wearing a Bad Plan shirt,
Yes,
which makes sense why you said that earlier.
I spent all
Heck
day
yeah.
I spent all day looking for it. I was like going through all my laundry, sorting my laundry, doing clothes earlier. I'm like, where's this shirt? I need to wear it tonight. The perfect time to wear it. Couldn't find it. Legit, 20 minutes before recording, I looked over, was trying to look for something else, and I have like these milk crates these for storage, and it was right on top because at the beginning of the week, I put it right there. I'm like, I'm gonna need this Friday, and then forgot about it. Put something else on top of it. I saw it poking out. I was like, perfect. It would be weird if I wasn't wearing it. I was wearing the shirt I was wearing to that concert earlier too, so it also might have worked. But do you want to explain behind the name Bad Plan? Because when I
Yeah,
legit was describing to my mom because she was interested in what I was doing tonight, and she's like, "But why that name?" I was like, "Oh, that's actually kind of a good question."
that is a fantastic question. It kind of has turned into a double meaning thing for me. The first meaning and kind of where it came from when it came time to name this project was music is just objectively a terrible idea. Like it's really expensive and time consuming to pursue. So it's really just rooted in like it's irresponsible to like chase a passion like music, but we kind of do it anyway. So that's the first and like most serious meaning. But it's also kind of come from like in my own personal journey, I have a tendency to like over rationalize things, especially when it comes to like my calling and things that I feel like have been laid on my life. I have a tendency to want to like put them in a box and try to like do the math and like get out of them when I know that's the direction that I should be heading and that's what I should be doing, regardless of whether it makes sense or not. And so the second sort of meaning is bad plans is really about like pursuing your calling in lieu of sometimes logic and reason.
Because you brought this up, and again, going to this concert, I only knew the protest. I didn't know any of these other projects. And then you were like, "Yeah, I was on the protest. I used to be part of the protest, and I'm part of this thing." And now you're going into this, like, to a lot of people, be like, "Oh, why did he leave the protest?" Immediately, I think some people, I'm sure you've heard this. He's like, "Oh, something was going on in the band. He left. Something bad happened. There's bad blood between everyone." Which didn't seem like you guys seemed like you were just like you seemed like you guys were just old friends hanging out. That's what it felt
Yeah,
like.
that's
Um,
exactly what it is. Yeah. And that is a great point. And yeah, people have asked a lot, because I think it's a strange thing anytime a member leaves a band that's perfectly fine. Like I left the protest like not at a time where there was any like real turmoil or anything. And I think it's also odd to people to leave a band and be on good terms with them. So it's natural that people are like curious about it at that time. Again, kind of like read the whole meaning behind bad plans. The protest was not making a lot of money. I was living in Indiana where they're from. We would go on tour half the year, and then the other half of the year I would come home and work a job that I hated to try to make up for basically the income, losing trying to tour and do this thing. And at a certain point I felt like I wanted to do music more. Like I wanted to do it full time, and not work a day job. And so I had an opening to move to Nashville, and I kind of just took it and made a really hard decision to leave that band. And that was pretty much it was pretty much in pursuit of like doing the irresponsible thing of like uprooting my life. But yeah, it was really hard at the time. Like it's not something I've talked about a lot to like leave a band of guys that I consider my brothers and close friends. And thankfully we've stayed in contact and like are still like fairly close outside of music. But yeah, it was a strange thing at the time.
Neat. Yeah, just going with because being from Indiana, which I thought was actually really cool. I was like, oh, the protest is from Indiana because you think anything else from Indiana, there's not much. It's like corn, and
Mm-hmm.
then around here, people like to bring up Al Capone. Apparently, that was like a thing in the town history. You're like, did you know? And where I live, Al Capone wouldn't do business here. I was like, cool. I've heard this like 100 times, but it's kind of cool now. Like you got bands like the Protest, be like, oh yeah, now they're from there.